Yo, E-Dirt. So Hollywood Hills here, very unshaven, looking rough as hell. A couple of days down at Durban doing the triathlon with the Turbo Mermaid, my wife Kerry. It was a cool one, I survived it, but it was tough and rough. No coffee for me because it is after lunchtime now and it is all about reporting back on the National Off-Road. So let's get down to it straight away. First round down in Eshowe, and by all accounts, a gnarly track. Real good entry as well because there's a huge following of hare scramble and enduro riders, and it's funny the word enduro comes out because a lot of the guys I spoke to that raced the National Off-Road said it was a little bit more enduro than it was off-road. That said, the cream did rise to the top. Let's go through the category mix-ups. The big bangers in the OR1s, that was going to be all about the duke out fight between Kenny Gilbert and Ross Branch. And this time around, Kenny, following on from the form that he carried from a couple of weeks back at the opening round of the GXCCs with a massive flag-to-flag win, same situation coming out of this one. Yeah, he won the time trial, and yes, Ross Branch did have a head-on in the time trial, and definitely that shook him a little bit loose, you could see that. But when it came to race time, it was definitely going to be all on and out war. And the two sister brands of KTM and Husqvarna were going straight at it. This time around though, King Kenny walked away with the big win to open his racing account, and he is desperately looking to splat that #1 plate back on his bike. It's been a few years missing now. Cool to see Charon Moore making the big step up. It's been a few years that we've wanted to see Charon Moore on the Live Lesotho squad make the big step up onto the 450, and he did a great job there, and just showing that this was very much a crossover between enduro and off-road. To see a very well-rounded rider, ISDE experience and a lot of motocross experience, Charon Moore making the step up and getting third place straight out the box. In the OR2s, one of the big stories of the season was a big crash for Brett Swanepoel, our defending OR1 national champion riding out of the Pepsi Plastics Husqvarna squad. He was down there in the pits, Kenny and everyone was looking after their buddy, and he was still out there representing for the brand. So that meant there was going to be some new blood coming to the top. Now last year, Lawrence Mahoney came back into the racing fold and got onto the 250 Smoker to try and attack the OR2 championship. And he knew pretty much after race #1 that he was going to be down on horsepower. He had to live the whole way through the season like that, and right at the end of last year, he got bumped himself up into a 350, stays and attacks the OR2s, and job done. He is your first race winner of the OR2, one of the most competitive categories in the country. So welcome back to the top step, Lawrence Mahoney. That's a very cool job. His sister company, that's KTM versus Husqvarna, and you'll have seen last week's catch was all about Taki Bodjodges filling the boots, as we say, of Brett Swanepoel, and well filled they were. The 222 in the new Pepsi Plastics Husqvarna colours, and resplendent in a full set of brand new Scott kit. Taki Bodjodges second place and beating out his teammate Travis Gielig in third. So that was KTM win, Huskies 1 and 2, and both of the Huskies were represented out of the Pepsi Plastics Husqvarna squad. So that is super cool news. Now this for me is the huge story, and it was the huge story on the weekend, and it's going to be spoken about for quite a few weeks to come now. Bradley Cox, the man with a lot of weight on his shoulders, and the last couple of seasons, after not really showing good form in the motocross GPs, racing in the 125s, just couldn't kind of get his season, get his kind of form going. Spent last year kind of learning the ropes of racing hare scrambles, racing in the National Enduro Championship, but also still couldn't quite find his feet. Boom! This event, Eshowe, goes and rock and rolls it, wins the overall event and takes the win in the OR3s, his first ever national championship win. And was he happy? Yes, he was. And the family Cox were all there to represent. Well done, Brad Cox. A long time coming, many people will say that, but the kid finally put in the work over the off season and is finally starting to reap the benefits of what he's put in. Great job to see a new winner onto the box. The other cool story about coming out this weekend was quite a few new names coming into the front here. So new names in national championship racing, but not new names in national overall, and I'll explain that. One of the kids that came through the national junior series, Calvin Hume, he got himself into a #2 spot in the OR3s, that's the 200cc class, and Stefan van Deventer, the winningest high school rider on the tour from last year, made the step up representing KTM and Alfie Cox Racing. Third place for him, so that is a very cool job. Then in the 125s, the high schools as they're known now, that was a big change because Cade Manty, a name that I haven't commentated on in what feels like maybe 5 or 6 years, because he was also part of the Junior National Series where Matty Green and Stefan Van Deventer came from. But since then, he stayed local and just raced in KZN, and this track and the format of racing very much suited his style, and he took a very big surprise win. So we've already seen surprise wins coming out of the EWXCs with little Heinrich Aust. He, by the way, got a 3rd place finish on the event, 2nd place going to Ryan Peltzer. And then we saw a new winner in the GXCC. So it looks like this 125 high score mix-up that we were talking about right at the end of last season is really starting to bear fruit, and it's really giving us some different names and new riders and quite exciting future to start talking about. In the age categories, the Masters win this time around went to Peter Hall. It looked like this was going to be a Wayne Farmer win, and definitely a track that would definitely suit Wayne Farmer a little bit better than a 500cc beast like Peter Hall. But Peter Hall did walk away with a win. Farmer was in the lead on lap number 1, pinched a nerve on his back, and pretty much had to limp and survive his way home for the rest of the race, but still got enough points to bag and tag a number 2 spot. On the seniors, it was very much a 2-horse race the whole way through last year with Bolly Van Rooyen and a good buddy of us here at Hollywood Hills. That is big Bruce Viljoen. Bruce was another rider that unfortunately had one of those head-ons, and that really kind of messed up his whole weekend, and hopefully it's not going to mess up his championship, because he was a no-show for the race, which meant Bolly Van Rooyen pretty much cruised with no pressure on his back wheel, and that's the first win for the winningest senior rider out there as well. He's got a ton of number 1 plates in the seniors, representing for Brother Leader Straight Factory KTM squad. And Bruce unfortunately had to have a sleepover party at the Ballito Netcare. He is on his way home as I'm recording this, and I'll be having a chat with him sometime during the week to make sure he's okay. They did x-ray him, no broken bones, but the poor dude that Bruce hit, you know Bruce, he's like a wall, that guy. He's pretty solid. Bruce has got like some cuts and scrapes. The other guy's got like a couple of broken bones in his wrist and a concussion, so I didn't quite get the name of who that was, but hopefully they're going to be okay. The silver class was a good breakout win for Patrick Moore, and another guy who's part of that crazy squad of the Live Lesotho racing squad. It's cool to see those guys fully representing the whole way through just about all the tours that we race on throughout the country. But yeah, I mean, wild race, big wide open track, but more hair scrambly / enduro than it was full national off-road, and that's going to be, if you guys will remember a few Hollywood Hills back, I was saying that round number 1 is kind of going to give us a feel of how the races, not necessarily the racers, but the races are going to be running, and so far it's a little bit of a shady one. Like there's good and bad to take out of this first one, but head-on collisions in the time trial that ended up being cancelled. So good reaction from the guys that ran the race down there. So I'm not judging, you know, you got to react when these things happen, but I think the courses maybe bunted a little bit too close together, and that's why the situation came about. That's the feedback I got from riders like Wayne Farmer, who I just got off the phone with now, and he's always going to be a straight shooter, Wayne. He'll tell me exactly how it is. The race itself, you can see from some of the footage and some of the pictures that we got from ZC, very much mountainous, so a strange look and feel, but maybe it's not a bad thing. Last couple of seasons we've been racing fence pokes racing. The high speeds have been a challenge to event organizers and racers alike. Safety has been a big word that's been spoken about, so maybe going a little bit more tech, maybe a little bit more GNCC, American racing style. It's not a bad thing. We'll see how the format runs as we go forward into the rest of the national tour, but at least round number 1 of the national series is job done and dusted, which means everyone can start taking a little bit of a breather. I'll catch up with the guys next weekend at the second round of the GXCCs. I'm very excited to go down there. Falkville, a classic race venue. The speeds will be high, quite long straights down there. The guys will be topping out well over 150 on the OR3s and OR3s, maybe about 125. OR2, some of the straights, they'll get up to like 140, maybe 150, but they are safe, extremely well marked, and very, very well cautioned at the GXCCs. After that, I'm going to be putting on my 4-wheel helmet as I go forward for the first round in Dahlstrom of the National Off-Road Cars. Then after that, it's going to be, looks like it's going to be a farm jam straight after that, and at the end of the month I'll round things out with the Mamarok Extreme Enduro guys. So nice, busy racing and working month of March. Well done to everyone who competed at the National Off-Road this weekend, and I can't wait to catch up with everyone and get the full skinny on what's gone down there. It's very weird for me not to be down at the races, but you know, you deal the hand, you've got to play, so that's how they say it. Looks what's going on. Polysport have got some cool stuff happening. Always got some new fresh gear. I love that new transparent gear that they've got. Actually, that for me is their product of the month. I love what's going on down there. The guys down at Holeshot, they say they are just pumping on Husqvarna at the moment, and they're going to be giving us some new specials in the coming month of March. And then the guys at Beta have still got all of their specials running alongside their partner Cayenne. So they've got a ton of 2016 and 2017 blowouts. So if you are in the market to get on a Beta, go and see what those guys have got. For now, this is Hollywood Hills signing off. First National, first GXCC, all of the firsts are done and dusted. We plow forward into next week for round number 2. Forkville GXCCs next up. Also, our friends over at Beta South Africa, that's Cayenne, they've got a load of blowout specials. So if you are in the market for a Beta and you're fancying getting onto one of the red machines that's been rock and rolled around the world by our very own Travis Teasdale, go check out all of the specials that they are doing down at Beta and Cayenne.